Okay, so we are going to continue our coverage over Mark Waid's Daredevil, and we pick up with the second storyline in Volume 3 collection, where we actually pick up with Matt Murdock on a date with Kirsten McDuffie. Now remember, when it comes to Kirsten McDuffie, she is the current DA of New York, the district attorney. Now with that being said, she always had a crush on Matt Murdock, but she also believes that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, because we have to remember, back in Brian Michael Bendis' run, the entire world found out that Matt Murdock was Daredevil. Now over in that run, and also Ed Brubaker's run, you have Matt Murdock trying his best to trick the world into believing that he is not Daredevil. Now most of New York does believe that he is not Daredevil, but you still have some people out there who do believe that he is Daredevil, like Kirsten McDuffie. And so over time, while they were trying to flirt with one another, but also set up different dates with one another, she would do different things to prove that he is Daredevil. And one of those things I found pretty hilarious was she wrote on her bra, "You are Daredevil," and flashed him her bra to hopefully see that his radar sense would pick up that what her bra is saying, like, hey, you are Daredevil and I know you are. And of course, with her flashing herself, well, he does get very nervous. Either way, getting back to their date, it's them right now just basically talking about the idea of him being blind. And so she wants to know how it feels. So in the entire date, they are going to walk around the city and they're both going to be blind. Now, Spider-Man was basically brought in to watch over Matt Murdock because he is worried that he may get attacked. And the reason why? Because he has the Omega Drive. When it comes to the Omega Drive, it's really more of a piece of technology that Matt Murdock took from some bad guys in the earlier parts of Mark Waid's run. But when it comes to the Omega Drive, it basically stores information about 5 different crime organizations in Marvel Comics. And so if you are able to get your hands on that information, you are able to bring down those 5 different crime organizations. And so ever since Matt Murdock got the Omega Drive, he has been a target because each of those crime organizations have been trying to get at him to get that Omega Drive to bring down their enemies. Unfortunately, he has been able to do his best to keep it away from them. And so he is very worried about the idea of being on a date with Kirsten and her getting attacked because, again, the entire world knows that he is Daredevil. Now, when it comes to the first chapter of the storyline, most of this chapter really deals with the idea of Matt Murdock telling Kirsten a story about how he first met Foggy Nelson in college. And when he first met Foggy, at first, Foggy was annoying because one, he snored in his sleep. He was a very messy eater, very messy roommate, but over time, the two of them did grow a bond. Now, he also discussed the idea that he was able to help Foggy not get expelled from college. And what happened was you had this college professor try his best to get rid of Foggy because, well, he just did not like Foggy at all and try to say that Foggy plagiarized when it came to one of his essays. And of course, Matt was able to prove that one, Foggy was telling the truth, that he did not plagiarize, but also the professor lied about the whole idea of Foggy plagiarizing. It was a really cool storyline, but unfortunately, it's not really that important. Now, throughout the pages of the first chapter, while you have Matt Murdock talking to Kirsten about this story, well, we do see Foggy freaking out in the present day. And the reason why, because he believes that what Matt Murdock is doing right now, being all happy and everything, is some kind of false happiness. And what I mean by that, he's afraid that Matt Murdock might have another mental breakdown. And the reason why, because back in Brian Michael Bendis' run and also Ed Brubaker's run, we had learned that Matt Murdock was going through a mental breakdown over the death of Karen Page, because that was the only reason why he got married to Millie Donovan. And so because of that, it's Foggy saying, I believe that Matt Murdock is just having another mental breakdown because he's so happy. And no matter what happens to him, he's able to take those things and just say, you know what? things happen and we have to move on. But to Foggy, he's too happy, and he wonders that if this is another mental breakdown that Matt is just going through. Getting back over to Matt Murdock and Kirsten, we do see that the date has gone well, to the point where you have the two of them about to kiss. And honestly, it's a great thing, except that is the moment our two characters are confronted by some random mysterious man who claims that he works for Black Spectra, one of the 5 crime organizations that wanted the Omega Drive. Here's the thing. The Black Spectra group was actually brought down in earlier chapters of Mark Waid's run. And so for Matt Murdock, there's no way that Black Spectra could be back already. Or if they are, that is a huge problem, because now, once again, they're coming after the Omega Drive, which means that Matt Murdock is a target again for them, but also Kirsten as well. And so you had this guy leave. But before he does leave, he does tell Daredevil, you are now back on our target list. We are trying to get the Omega Drive away from you. Because again, if somebody gets the Omega Drive, they are able to use that drive to bring down other crime organizations. And so right now, this guy says, you are in our sights to get the Omega Drive back. As we jump into the second chapter, we really jump into the idea that Foggy is still having a hard time dealing with the idea of Matt Murdock being so happy, so excited. And so because of that, it's Foggy saying Matt Murdock must be hiding something from me to show that the reason why he is so happy. And what you have Foggy do next, he breaks into the office of Matt Murdock to look through his things. And apparently when Foggy does open up a certain drawer, he finds something inside of there. He cannot believe that Matt Murdock has whatever is inside this drawer. But getting back over to Matt Murdock, we kind of find out that moment right there with Foggy finding something in Matt Murdock's drawer takes place 16 hours after Kirsten and Matt Murdock's date got interrupted by Black Spectra. And so we do jump back 16 hours ago, where we see Matt Murdock telling her to get in the car and just get out of here. He's going to try to handle this situation. Now again, she believes that he is Daredevil, but at the same time, he has been trying to prove that he is not Daredevil. But it's right now one of those things where he has to kind of just play along. Go ahead, get her out of there, go somewhere and change, be Daredevil, and just let her mind wander and try to deal with that later on. With that being said, you have Matt Murdock then be confronted by the 4 other groups who are trying to come after the Omega Drive. This leads into a huge battle in New York where you have Matt Murdock just trying his best to defend himself against the Omega Drive. Now, at first, it does look like one of the groups will be able to get their hands on the Omega Drive, but then out of nowhere, you have Black Spectra appear. And like I said earlier, this is a group that was technically brought down just a couple issues ago in Mark Waid's run. And the question is, how in the world are they able to bounce back that quickly? Because when it comes to Black Spectra, they were never a big time group in Marvel Comics, meaning that if they were brought down, they should have a hard time just coming back. But here they are. They were able to just bounce back so easily. With that being said, you have Black Spectra being able to get Matt Murdock, get the Omega Drive, then throw him away and leave with the Omega Drive. And so now it looks like the Omega Drive has now been taken by Black Spectra. The other 4 groups have failed. Matt Murdock had failed. But on top of that, this was all done in the middle of New York. And so it looks like that Daredevil was just basically embarrassed by Black Spectra, but they also got away with the Omega Drive. Except that is the moment we kind of find out it was all part of Daredevil's plan. And what I mean by that, yes, you did have Matt Murdock get attacked by Black Spectra. He was defeated by them. We come to find out it wasn't really Black Spectra. It was just the Avengers pretending to be Black Spectra as a way to kind of throw everybody off, to throw off Kirsten, to throw off the other 4 crime organizations, because now they are going to believe that Matt Murdock and Daredevil no longer has the Omega Drive, which means that he is no longer a target at all, which of course means that the people who are close to Matt Murdock should be left alone. And this honestly is a great thing. Now Matt Murdock is able to breathe more and be able to kind of just live a more regular life. Except when he does try to leave, that is when we see that someone is beginning to teleport him somewhere else. And so to close on the second chapter, we come to find out that Matt Murdock was teleported over to, well, Latveria. And we already know when you are teleported there, that only means one thing. You did something to Dr. Doom, and Dr. Doom is going to get payback for what you have done to him. Or it's Dr. Doom wanting something from you that you may have. Either way, Matt Murdock was just teleported over to Latveria into a cage, which means that sooner or later, he could be confronted by Dr. Doom. So when we jump into the third chapter, you would think that this is going to be the moment where you're going to have Dr. Doom confront Matt Murdock about the idea of the Omega Drive, which means that Dr. Doom is going to be the bad guy of this book, to only find out that Dr. Doom is not the main bad guy of the book, that in reality is someone else known as Chancellor Beltane. Now when it comes to Beltane, he's just the guy who runs the Bank of Latveria. He controls the money of Latveria, and that is a very important role. But the reason why he had captured Matt Murdock is because of the Omega Drive. Now remember, when it comes to the Omega Drive, it does contain a lot of information about the different crime organizations, except also contains the money that they owe to Latveria, to Dr. Doom, because he was funding these different groups around the world. And so with the Omega Drive missing, that means these different crime organizations have no idea what they owe to Dr. Doom. And that is a huge problem, because now, thanks to Matt Murdock, Dr. Doom is not going to get paid, because they believe that Black Spectra had took the Omega Drive as a way to hide all the money they owe. Either way, you have Beltane saying someone has to pay, and unfortunately, it has to be you. And so you have Beltane just spray Matt Murdock with some kind of gas. And after spraying him with that gas, he tells Matt Murdock, okay, you're free to go. All the crimes that you have committed or the money you owe has now been paid and you can leave. Now, Matt Murdock knows there is something up when it came to that gas. But the problem is though, he has no idea what effects comes from that gas. And so he begins to question Beltane by grabbing him. Now, because he did that and also took out soldiers that was around Beltane, Beltane said, you have now assaulted people of Latveria. That means you, Matt Murdock, has declared war against us. And with that being said, now you have to basically be arrested. Now, Matt Murdock knows if he is arrested, there's no way he'll be able to leave Latveria and get back to America. And so you have Matt Murdock begin the process of trying to escape the country by jumping the border. But then we have to jump over to Foggy Nelson. And the reason why, because this is Foggy still believing in the idea that, hey, you know what? There is something wrong with Matt Murdock. But on top of that, he did find some evidence that did prove that there is something wrong with Matt Murdock. And so while he is walking around the office of Matt Murdock and his office as well, you have Kirsten call up Foggy to ask if Matt is okay. Because let's not forget, it has been more than 16 hours since she last heard from Matt Murdock. Because remember, when Foggy did find the evidence in the drawer of Matt Murdock's office, that was 16 hours after Matt had a big fight in the middle of New York City against all those different crime organizations. And so she is wondering if he is okay, because he has not called her back at all. And Foggy's saying, listen, it's Matt Murdock. He's always busy. He's always up to something. Now, Foggy is trying his best to basically say, hey, Matt is not Daredevil. He has other things going on. But at the same time, it's Kirsten who still believes that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. And so right now she's kind of like, listen, I don't know if I can be a girlfriend for him if he's always out in danger, but he's always lying to me. Like, I want him to go ahead and be honest with me. And so because of that, it's Foggy just trying to calm down Kirsten, but at the same time, he's all like, listen, I have to go, because he's still looking around the office of Matt Murdock to find more evidence to prove there is something wrong with Matt. But getting back over to Matt Murdock, you still have Matt Murdock trying his best to escape Latveria, to cross the border. Now, let's not forget, when he got hit with that gas, he knew there had to be something wrong with that gas. And he's correct. There is something wrong with that gas. That gas was actually used as a way to shut down the body of Matt Murdock, or really anybody at all who has been hit with the gas. See, what happened is the gas first effect is to shut down the different senses of your body. Now, that is really important when it comes to Matt Murdock. And the reason why, because let's not forget, he is blind, but his other senses were enhanced. And with those enhancements, he is able to kind of figure out how to move around the world. And so because of that, now his senses are going away, so is his radar, the ability to kind of still guide himself throughout the world. But then after his senses goes away, that is when his body is going to completely just shut down. And then he'll be able to be captured by the forces of Latveria. And so the rest of the third chapter is really more of Matt Murdock just trying his best to get to the border, to cross the border, to hopefully get away from all this mess. Unfortunately, when he does think that he has been able to reach the border, and when he thinks that he was able to cross the border before his body had completely shut down, we come to find out that he failed, that he was unable to cross the border, and he was captured by the forces of Latveria. And so as we jump into the final chapter of the storyline, we really do focus on the idea of Matt Murdock being held as a prisoner. Not really a prisoner, he's being held as a test subject, because right now they're trying to copy his powers, to learn more about how his powers truly work. Because when it comes to Matt Murdock, his powers are very unique. You could really say that there are not many people out there in the world that has his powers. And so right now, it's really more Beltane saying, if we are able to figure out how his powers truly work, we could be able to copy those powers and give it over to the rest of our soldiers to make them stronger. And that is very huge. Now, with that being said, for Matt Murdock, this sucks because he's now having flashback to his early days when he first gained his powers. And honestly, it was very traumatic for him because he was a young boy who went blind, but then had to realize that his other senses were enhanced. And so because of that, he had to learn how to work through them. And so right now, it's him doing it all over again, having to relearn how to work through all these different kind of emotions, through all these different kind of senses. And right now, he just keeps having flashbacks to his childhood when he first gained his abilities, those traumatic moments. Either way, after a while, you have Matt Murdock being able to regain control of his body, but also regain control of his senses as well. And so because of that, he was able to break free and begin the process of trying to get away from Beltane, but also get out of Latveria. So this leads into Matt Murdock beginning the process of just trying to get out of Latveria. Now, he realized that the reason why he was unable to call for help earlier is because, well, his signal was blocked when it came to his Avengers card. And so once you have Matt Murdock being able to locate the tower that was jamming his radio card or his Avengers card, once he was able to trick Beltane to blow up the actual jammer, then Daredevil was able to call out for help to the Avengers. And once he did that, they do appear and they are able to take out all the soldiers, take out Beltane, but to also grab Matt Murdock as well. And really, this is just Mark Waid saying, let me go ahead ahead and wrap up the storyline so that we are able to move into the next storyline. And so that really does wrap up this book right here. In the next video, we finally dive into volume 4 of Mark Waid's run on Daredevil. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.